Jesus often taught using parable stories with hidden, powerful meanings. One of his most famous is the parable of the Good Samaritan. This story still challenges and inspires us today. Picture Jesus surrounded by a crowd, some eager, some skeptical. A lawyer, an expert in religious law, stood up to test Jesus. "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" he asked. Jesus replied, "What is written in the law?" The lawyer answered, "Love God with all your heart, and love your neighbor as yourself." Wanting to justify himself, the lawyer pressed further, "And who is my neighbor?" Instead of a direct answer, Jesus told a story that would forever redefine what it means to be a neighbor. This parable was more than an answer, it was an invitation to see the world differently. Jesus knew stories could reach the heart in ways arguments could not. The parable of the Good Samaritan was crafted to challenge, to invite, and to transform. Even now, its message remains as relevant as ever. Let's listen to the story that changed how we see others. A question about eternal life led to a lesson about love. The lawyer's question, "Who is my neighbor?" still echoes today. Jesus didn't give a list or a definition. He gave a story that would break down barriers. This story is an invitation to act with compassion. It's a call to see everyone as worthy of love. The parable's power lies in its simplicity and its challenge. It asks us to look beyond ourselves. It asks us to love without limits. And it all began with a single searching question. To grasp the shock of this parable, we need to understand the tension between Jews and Samaritans. They lived side by side, but centuries of conflict and religious differences kept them apart. Jews and Samaritans avoided each other, even taking long detours to stay out of each other's lands. They wouldn't share food or drink, and kindness between them was unthinkable. So when Jesus made a Samaritan the hero, it was a radical twist. For his Jewish listeners, it was like making an enemy the example of goodness. Jesus was challenging deep prejudices. He wanted his audience to rethink who deserves love. The parable forces us to ask, who do we see as outsiders? Who do we avoid or judge? Jesus' story breaks down those walls. It calls us to see everyone as our neighbor, and to recognize that compassion can come from the most unexpected places. Jesus began, "A man was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho, a road notorious for danger. Robbers attacked him, stripped him, beat him, and left him half dead. He lay helpless, hoping for rescue. A priest came by, a respected religious leader. He saw the wounded man but crossed to the other side and kept walking. Next, a Levite approached, another religious figure. He too saw the man but passed by without helping. Two men, both expected to show compassion, did nothing. Their positions and knowledge didn't translate into action. The wounded man remained alone, suffering. The story highlights a painful truth. Titles and rituals don't guarantee mercy. Real compassion requires more than just seeing need, it demands a response. The man's hope faded as help passed him by. The road was dangerous, but indifference was just as deadly. The listeners would have felt the sting of disappointment. Who would help now? The story takes an unexpected turn, and that's where the lesson deepens. Then a Samaritan came down the same road. To the audience, this was shocking. A Samaritan was the last person they'd expect to help. But when he saw the wounded man, he was moved with compassion. He went to him, bandaged his wounds, and treated them with oil and wine. He lifted the man onto his own donkey and brought him to an inn. The Samaritan cared for him through the night. The next day, he gave money to the innkeeper and promised to cover any extra costs. His compassion was practical, generous, and ongoing. He didn't ask about the man's background, he simply saw a person in need and acted. The Samaritan's kindness broke every expectation. He became the true neighbor. Jesus' listeners were stunned. The story's hero was the one they least expected. Jesus turned to the lawyer and asked, "Which of these three was a neighbor?" The answer was clear: the one who showed mercy. Jesus replied, "Go and do likewise." The parable isn't just a story, it's a call to action. Being a neighbor means showing compassion regardless of differences. Our neighbor is anyone in need, no matter their background. The lesson is timeless love breaks down barriers. We're called to respond with kindness, empathy, and real help. The Good Samaritan's example challenges us to act. Will we cross the road to help or pass by? Jesus invites us to choose compassion. One act of kindness can change a life. Go and do likewise.